Any questions about, yeah, Monica?
And this has been wonderful. It's been informative, it's been inspiring, and I've learned a lot and been reminded of many happy memories. You mentioned synagogue, you mentioned Episcopal Church, but I've seen you on the stage as an actor as well as a singer. I think it was in Canada.
Yeah, I
That's
had.
one part you did not mention.
Well, I had the great good fortune during these years. I mentioned Michigan Opera Theater. The Overture to Opera was again an educational program that was established to inform the community, and we would go out into the school systems and do performances. Initially, concert performances of opera, then ultimately excerpts from opera. And I had the great privilege of being part of that. I was in David D. Kira's very first performance. And then through all of the years, I was one of the singers who had the great good fortune of continuing to develop and be part of this. I had a wonderful voice teacher, and during the early 60s I had an opportunity to work with Boris Goldovsky, one of the great opera coaches of my time. Virtually every major American opera singer of my generation worked with Boris Goldovsky at one time or another. And during, half a century almost, Goldovsky was an intermission panelist for the Met broadcasts, and he would do summaries of the operas and would play excerpts and everything. And so I had, through my voice teacher, who had two students singing at the Metropolitan Opera at this time, Shirley Love then and John McCurdy. So I was in an environment and I was interested in and pursuing singing. So I had the opportunity to be in many wonderful opera performances and sing with many big stars and to have as friends people who were stars. So I never left this area. One thing that I've not mentioned, and I've not talked about it very much, because of the opera, the Overture to Opera, and singing in so many performances with them. One year I think we did 21 performances, the first act of La Boheme in schools and colleges around this area. And then later, Michigan Opera Theater began to tour with complete operas. We would take them to various communities and would recruit a local chorus and bring the principals from Detroit. We would use a staging that was done on the main stage here, and we did performances of Butterfly and Lucia, Die Fledermaus, all around the state with virtually every orchestra. So I had the good fortune of being able to do a lot of singing. And in fact, Ruth and Len Townsend. Len Townsend was the chairman of the board at Chrysler's at that time, and it was customary for the chair people of the Detroit Grand Opera Association usually to be one of the CEOs of the automobile company. So I had the privilege of singing for Lenore Romney's birthday one year. As part of that, the Romneys were chair people, the Eitemas from Ford Motor Company, and then the Townsends for a long time. And during this period, I would go out and sing. I would sing several times with Des Moines Opera, with the Cleveland Opera, would do concerts around the Midwest, and as singing, I had three sources of income besides the jobbing singing. My job here at Fort Street, directing the post office chorus, and singing at the temple. So I supported a family on part-time jobs, and then singing. A great good fortune that I was able to make a living. One of my students who went to Cleveland now sings with the Nuremberg Opera said, I saw him in the summer, in fact. He said, it's amazing to me how you were able to make a living in Detroit in music. But all of these things came together somehow to my good fortune. I've been most blessed.